Nation.
Former reality star Caitlyn Jenner is reportedly considering a run for California governor. If Jenner does officially launch a campaign, she would be challenging the current Democratic governor, Gavin Newsom, likely facing a recall election later this year. The former Olympian came out as a transgender woman in 2015, garnering a great deal of support from LGBTQ activists and progressive groups along the way, but she lost some of that support from the left when she later came out as a fan of then-President Donald Trump, also voicing support for other prominent Republicans like Ted Cruz. Although she later revoked her support for President Trump. But now the question is, how might all of this play out for Democrats in California, and Republicans for that matter, if she indeed launches a campaign? Let's ask two strategists, Democrat Laura Fink and Inez Stepman, a Republican strategist. Laura, let's start with you on this one. How this is, as we know, how Arnold Schwarzenegger became governor in 2003. If this, in fact, goes to the runoff ballot, which, as we know, in California is a little different, you're voting to recall and then voting for a replacement. A lot of what ifs, but what challenges does Jenner present for Democrats?
Well, I mean, Caitlyn Jenner has her own challenges. I think she definitely has learned how to be a Kardashian, even though she's divorced from the family. She knows a good PR strategy and opportunity when she sees one. I think her challenge is the challenge of all the Republicans that are running to replace Gavin Newsom, and that is their support of Trump is toxic in the state of California. No Republican has won statewide office in California in many, many years. That's any statewide office. So Caitlyn Jenner faces that firewall of blue. This is a blue state. To be competitive, she has to demonstrate that she shares the values of a majority of Californians. Her values so far as expressed are closer to Donald Trump's than blue California's.
Right. Well, 2006, I think, was the last time a Republican won statewide. You can check me on that if you know, Inez. But this is, many people think, Republicans included, this is probably the best shot, to Laura's point, for Republicans to win a statewide election if this recall happens. How does Jenner fit into that plan to you for Republicans?
Well, first of all, I'm not a Republican strategist. I work for the Independent Women's Forum, and anyone who hires me to run a campaign gets exactly what they deserve. I've never run a campaign. But with regard to the issues, I am, in fact, a California Republican. And I think this is very much in the tradition of failure of the California Republican Party. It's not the first time they've tried to go for celebrity, and especially during recall elections. As you mentioned, they can get extremely wild in California. Last time we had a recall election, we actually had a porn star running for governor among many, many candidates. So recall elections in California can get quite wild, but I don't think that Caitlyn Jenner will be a good standard bearer for the Republican Party in California.
Let's shift, but stay in California. I want to turn to Vice President Kamala Harris, who was in the state last weekend, but still has not held a news conference. And this is now some 2 weeks after President Biden tapped her to address the crisis at the southern border. The White House press secretary, Jen Psaki, was asked today why the vice president was in Chicago yesterday instead of at the border after that trip to California. Here's what she had to say.
The Vice President was visiting Chicago actually to talk about COVID and the importance of communities getting the vaccine when it's available and accessible to them. And so while she was there, like many Americans, she got a snack. I think she's allowed to do that. I don't have an update on when she'll travel. I'm sure it will be soon.
Meantime, we have new video from the border, and it's getting a lot of attention. It shows what CBP says is an abandoned migrant child wandering by himself and ultimately asking for help from a Border Patrol agent. Here's a piece of it. He's looking for help there. He says he was left by the group he was traveling with without his parents. This boy's story and others like it are becoming common. So back to our guest now. Inez, on that video, you can see this boy has sort of put a face on the argument for taking in unaccompanied minors here. How does this impact what's happening right now, this video?
I think it just highlights the chaos at the border, and in fact that to have a de facto open borders policy, not to enforce American immigration law, and to put up a big sign that says if you bring a kid across the border, it's a free ticket into the United States. This creates an enormous amount of moral hazard on the border. And it has been for quite some time. The coyotes and all of the smugglers on the border have been a problem for a long time. But U.S. policy does impact that. And I think that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a surge at the border that is going considerably beyond the surge in 2019. Even the Biden administration, Axios published today, documents the Biden administration expects that surge to continue up to 60% more over the numbers that are already extremely high. We have holding facilities, what we used to talk about as cages at the border, are some of those facilities are at 1,700% capacity right now. So there is a crisis at the border, and I think it's disappointing that Vice President Harris has not gone down there, and further disappointing that they're actually trying to restrict a lot of media reporting on the border. It's very difficult for reporters to get into those facilities or to get any information from them.
Laura, the last number I heard, I think, was some 16,000 unaccompanied minors. There it is right there in HHS custody alone. Where is the vice president on this, Laura? Why are we not seeing her at the border or at least in a news conference on what's happening there?
Well, I don't think that measuring where the vice president is a good summation of what's happening on the border and what we need to do to address it. I think we've heard over and over again that this is something that has been a challenge for president after president, whether you're a Republican or you're a Democrat. You know, I live on the border. I live and have grown up in the community of San Diego. And so we understand the challenges of border regions. Now, what we are seeing here is a backlog of migrants making the journey from border cities in Mexico like Tijuana and like Juarez. And so that backlog is causing that increase along with seasonal migration. Migration has seasons. And so statistically, the so-called surge really can be accounted for the Trump policies of turning children like that little boy that we saw on the video away rather than taking him in, caring for him and attempting to reunite him with his parents while his due process goes through. I think it's a challenge for any president. And what Biden has chosen to do that is different is simply to take in those unaccompanied minors and ensure that they are cared for.
All right. I want to try to get quickly, if I can, from both of you, the latest on what we're seeing with Matt Gaetz here, the representative. According to the New York Times, Gaetz asked for a blanket pardon in the final weeks of the Trump administration, under investigation over an alleged sexual relationship with a 17-year-old. Inez, let's start with you. Where does this end?
Well, I'm not sure where it ends. I believe that former President Trump has denied that that request for a pardon took place. I don't know the reality of or which one is telling the truth here. But overall, of course, if a congressman did have a relationship with a underage girl, that is something that should be considered very serious and perhaps should be a reason for Matt Gaetz to just resign. That being said, a lot of what's being reported in the media isn't necessarily about the specific case. It's about the fact that he seems to have a reputation for acting like a frat boy. That issue, I think, is very much an issue for the voters of his district to decide whether they want someone who represents them to behave that way in the halls of Congress. I think it's a little bit shameful, but I also don't think it's worth overruling the voters of that district. I think that's for them to decide.
Well, depending on how the investigation turns out, I'm assuming, he hasn't denied the investigation. Laura, where do you think this should go? Not to conflate the two, but people have been calling for Andrew Cuomo to resign for weeks and months now.
Oh, and I'm one of them. I mean, I think when you're accused by so many women, as Andrew Cuomo is, when you are facing serious allegations of being with a 17-year-old girl and still want to walk the halls of Congress, serve on the Committee on the Judiciary. I mean, this is something, of course, Matt Gaetz feels no pressure from the Republican Party to resign. In fact, most Republicans have been eerily silent on these allegations, which, of course, were begun to be investigated under the Trump administration Justice Department, under the Biden administration. That investigation continues. It's very clear we need to have answers here on Matt Gaetz's potential criminal behavior.
All right, Laura Fink, Democratic strategist, and Inez Stephan, Independent Women's Forum. Apologies for that misstatement earlier. We thank you both for your time tonight and your input.
Thank you.